The finance director tried to slash business trip expenses for trade shows, only to cost the company a staggering $2 million in losses. Years ago, I worked for a company that brought on a spectacularly incompetent finance chief. To be honest, this story is more about my boss than me, but it's a wild ride. We had a dedicated travel team, a mix of volunteers from sales and IT who'd hit the road together, lugging equipment and technicians to set up booths, showcase products, and network at trade shows. Some of these events were in big cities, offering chances to attend vendor events, hit parties, and hang out with sales reps who, for some reason, were always the life of the party and loved a good drink. We had an informal seniority system for who got to go on these trips, but nobody really minded, and everyone got their turn. You went to DevCon last year, so it's my shot now? Cool, fair enough. The travel team coordinator was a volunteer role, usually filled by someone higher up like a manager. They handled logistics, shipping equipment, renting spaces, managing budgets, booking exhibit areas, and even scoring swag from our sales partners to share with the team. It was a nice perk for everyone involved. Then came the new finance director. Let's call her Dolores, after the insufferable Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. She swooped in with a slew of rigid rules. Here's a taste. No expense reimbursements without company approval. Spoiler, approval was never granted post-trip. The team was stripped of corporate credit cards and handed pre-approved credit balance gift cards, $150 to cover all expenses. Problem was, airlines, car rentals, hotels, gas stations, and toll booths didn't accept them. The finance department insisted these weren't gift cards and banned us from calling them that at meetings. But to the rest of the world, they were 100% gift cards with all the usual restrictions. Next, no matter how early you submitted requests, the finance team dragged their feet, often waiting until the last minute after a dozen reminders. This led to rushed shipping fees, same-day rental penalties, and inflated airfare costs. If they dropped the ball, it was your fault or your managers for not nagging them enough. Forgot to buy plane tickets after 4 reminders? Should have reminded them 5 times. You're bad. Dolores justified this chaos by claiming it would curb fraud, despite zero evidence of anyone ever gaming the system. She had this smug, head-wobbling way of explaining things condescendingly, like she was scolding children. To her, the travel team was just slapping receipts on the table and getting handouts. She shut that down, accusing the coordinator of blowing cash on steak and wine. He told her where to shove it and quit. In his absence, Dolores framed vendor gifts as proof of theft and freeloading, acting like she'd busted some grand scheme. Behold the mighty con artist sitting on a throne of stress balls from Airbnb Express and free catalogs. The coordinator role fell to my manager, who'd never done a trade show and had no clue how it worked. He didn't push back on Dolores until he went on a trip himself. To his shock, there was no expense account or corporate card, just a gift card that was useless everywhere except a few restaurants. He ended up charging over $40,000 on his personal American Express for the team's 2-week trip, only to be denied reimbursement because he hadn't pre-approved the expenses. He raised hell with upper management. Dolores threatened to quit if they didn't let her do her job, and the C-suite, who hadn't dealt with her much, acted spineless, mumbling, "Well, she says the gift cards work." When my manager pointed out they were rejected everywhere, Dolores sneered, "He just didn't try hard enough. Scared of conflict? Be a big boy and stand up for yourself." Eventually, the legal team forced the company to reimburse him. After that, Dolores arranged for certain things, hotels, flights, truck rentals, shipping, to be paid up front. But everything was done at the last second. They'd book hotel rooms or cars on the day of a major event, only to find everything sold out or book the wrong place. Washington, D.C. is not Washington State. A $40 shipment would cost $250 because they delayed. The finance team had no grasp of costs or how we saved money by handling things ourselves. Sometimes it was a total mess. The team would arrive at a hotel, only to find finance hadn't provided payment details for security deposits, which most hotels require. Nobody could reach them, so employees used personal cards again. Dolores' response? Don't believe the hotel clerk, the union at the trade show, or the toll booth guy. Fight back. We're not here to coddle people who avoid conflict. Ever tried arguing with a toll booth worker on a New Jersey turnpike? Neither had she. After 2 disasters, my manager snapped, "No more volunteering for these trips. I'm not approving time off for this." It was an unpopular move, but he told us, just wait. Let her run it her way. He was a master of passive-aggressive sabotage. Without pushback, Dolores, with her smug grin, went full throttle. Now we'll operate like a real company. This led to the next fiasco. Some trips were to big cities, Chicago, New York, D.C., and Dolores griped that everyone was just chasing a corporate-funded bender. The C-suite weekly countered, well, we need volunteers, but she wasn't having it. So she introduced a fair lottery system where anyone could apply for a trip, and she'd randomly pick winners. Funny how her own subordinates often got picked. The thing is, trade shows aren't aren't vacations. You need IT folks to set up equipment and sales reps to network. But Dolores never grasped that. Since IT and tech staff, banned from going, refused to pay out of pocket, volunteering stopped. The lottery sent random employees, like a marketing assistant from the 5th floor, who had no clue how to handle a trade show. It was a disaster. Imagine a marketing assistant winning a trip, only to learn they're footing the bill and have no idea what to do. Dolores always sent one of her lackeys to supervise, but they were equally clueless, only good for nodding along to her control freak demands. What's a union fee? A corkage fee? We didn't approve electricity for the booth. Just plug it into the wall. They won't let you? Who are they? Skip the screens. We're not selling TVs. Did you know if you clash with a convention center's union and refuse their services, they still bill you at the highest rate? Dolores and her crew didn't. Paying a few thousand up front is cheaper than the penalties they racked up. She tried fighting it because she wasn't afraid of conflict, but lost spectacularly. Ironically, despite her paranoia, the non-IT, non-sales employees who went did treat it like a company-funded vacation, just as she feared. A self-fulfilling prophecy. At first, they were shocked they had to work. Word spread, and soon nobody entered her lottery. With no volunteers, she started sending interns. Picture sending a bunch of college kids to Vegas, telling them to pay for everything, and setting them up to fail in a professional setting. I'm sure laws were broken. Dolores then assigned her finance minions as chaperones, leading to massive fines for various violations, including intern-related issues. She even hired hotel floor monitors, crammed 4 to 6 people in a room like it was a school band trip, and bought breathalyzers to ensure nobody drank. She treated grown adults like children. The sales team called it a PR nightmare. My boss just said, wait, let her sink herself. In the first year, travel costs skyrocketed by over 4,000%. Trips that once cost $3,600 ballooned to $144,000 or more, mostly due to fines and rush fees. Annual expenses jumped from $110,000 to over $2 million. We lost booth reservations and renewal rights, missing half our trade shows and looking like fools to clients. The whole point of these events was networking, so attending became pointless. Sales flagged this to Dolores repeatedly, but she doubled down. A year later, she scrapped the travel team entirely. It took a year of battling before leadership stepped in. Dolores left for personal reasons or to focus on family. It took nearly 2 years to rebuild the team from scratch. We got corporate cards back, made the coordinator role a full-time paid position, and hired someone who took over all financial logistics. In their first year, they saved the company a ton, and everyone cheered. Edit. Addressing common questions. Why wasn't she fired when costs soared from $110,000 to $2.1 million? A few reasons, but mainly she was the finance director. I suspect she fudged reports to downplay her screw-ups. Plus, the early 2000s were great years for us, making $2 million one year, $3 million the next. Losses might have gone unnoticed until someone realized we should have hit $6 million. That's my theory based on what happened later. Dolores cozied up to 2 top execs, and rumor has it she had a heart-to-heart about the company's finances, which got her a second year. Several directors quit, including leadership's buddies, who later spilled the tea over drinks about her other disasters. The trade show mess was just one. She botched a key supply chain, tanked the market with bad pricing, made enemies, nearly killed the company, and lost lucrative supplier contracts to competitors, violating antitrust rules. There's more, but it involves specific people, so I can't spill. What about the Christmas party? There wasn't one. By the end of this saga, with travel costs exploding, the party wasn't a priority. I'm not sure Dolores even knew we had one annually. Some think she diverted party funds to cover her trade show failures, but I doubt the budgets were linked. In November, people started asking, don't we have a holiday party every year? Nobody knew who was in charge. 3 employees who'd handled it before quit, partly because of Dolores. They'd hired vendors for fancy hotel events, but with the financial year, January to December, being a crunch, and Dolores's first full year, finances were a mess. How'd she get fired? She made too many enemies. After a year and a half, the negativity piled up and passive resistance from staff crippled her. She tried some internal power grab, but nobody backed her. By year 2, she was unraveling, taking creative leaves until one became permanent. Her assistant took over briefly but was also let go. A consulting group revamped the finance department, creating the paid coordinator role. The woman hired for it was amazing, though she tried selling company merch. Dolores had flipped out about us giving away stickers, pens, t-shirts, and keychain flashlights at trade shows, demanding we charge for them. She even sent a memo whining about missing keychains on employees' desks, wanting to charge staff $3 each. Rumor has it she planned to charge trade show visitors too. Nobody followed her orders. My boss secretly planned to fire me and have me train my own replacement, but a heads up from a friend let me turn the tables. Here's the cast. Names changed, of course. Bob, my former boss, an older guy who's been with the company forever, but knows next to nothing about tech. That's how he ended up in charge. Hans, my high school buddy, working in a different department and in management. He's the one who got me this job 4 years ago. Carolina, a colleague who's not a superstar but gets by with hard work. Carl, A solid employee, 6 years at the company, mostly handling long-term clients. He's got a family and is always swamped. Me, a guy in my late 20s, a bit of a nerd, loves computers. Our company was small and our 3-person team was like tech support on steroids, handling everything from database setups to advising clients on whether switching plans made sense. Clients sent us tickets and we tackled them one by one. I thrived on complex challenges while Carolina preferred routine tasks she already knew. No harm in that. We found a rhythm, divvying up tickets based on our strength. Everyone won. Me, Carolina, the company, and the clients. Then Bob became our boss. Right away, he noticed I closed fewer tickets than Carolina. I tried explaining that not all tickets are equal in effort, but tech wasn't his thing, and he didn't get it. About a month in, we landed a huge new client. I spent a week at their office setting up databases and sorting their needs, which tanked my monthly ticket stats even more. Any boss with a functioning brain would have seen why, but not Bob. Then he dropped a bombshell. He said we needed help and got approval to hire a 4th team member. I was thrilled like everyone else. With the new client and the company growing fast, it made sense. He even asked me to handle candidate selection and train the newbie, probably because he had no clue what we did. I was fine with it. That same day, Hans called me, which was odd since he usually texts. "Come over tomorrow," he said. "Got some beer that needs company." The next day, I showed up at his place. We chatted about life. Usually we hang out with mutual friends, but this time it was just us, sipping beers. After a couple, he mentioned updating his resume and suggested everyone should keep theirs current. "You got an updated one?" he asked. I sensed something was up. "Nah," I said. "What's going on? You know something?" He played it coy. "I'm just saying, always good to have a resume ready. I can't say Bob's planning to fire you, but I also can't say he's not planning to fire you." I thanked him for the beer and left. The message was clear. Bob was looking to sack me and likely wanted me to hire and train my replacement before handing over my job. Here's where the malicious compliance kicked in. I followed Bob's orders to hire a 4th team member, but I picked someone who fit his priorities. Someone who'd churn through tickets fast, no matter the quality. I wanted a candidate who wasn't too sharp, didn't care much about clients, and would just coast. We got a flood of applications, some from solid candidates, but I weeded those out. I chose resumes riddled with typos and bare minimum experience. During interviews, Bob and an HR rep were there, but I asked most of the questions and steered the discussion. I'd already filtered out the good candidates, so Bob picked the best of the worst. Not even the least bad, in my opinion. One guy was decent, but I threw him curveball questions, made him look clueless, and apologized afterward. I nudged Bob toward a candidate who'd work fast and rack up ticket numbers, and he took the bait. By then, I'd lined up a new job starting in 4 months, but I wanted Bob to fire me so I could snag a fat severance. After 2 months training Mr. Newbie, I taught him only the basics. He blasted through simple tickets but botched them constantly, and complex tasks just piled up untouched. Carl noticed since he'd be stuck with them after I was gone. I let him in on my plan, and it turned out he'd just gotten an offer from another company. He hated Bob too and agreed to hold off accepting it for a couple of weeks, timing his exit right after mine for maximum chaos. I told Bob I'd finished training the newbie. A week later, he called me in, regretfully saying he had to let me go because my ticket stats hadn't improved. Seriously, Bob, I was training someone else. He even wished me luck finding a new job with my work ethic. It was the moment I'd been waiting for. I thanked him and reminded him I was owed 4 months severance plus 2 months of unused vacation pay. As I walked out, I tipped off Carl. He pulled a signed 2-week notice from his desk drawer and marched to Bob's office. My girlfriend had vacation time, so we jetted off to New Zealand the next week for a month. That's where I proposed. A month after we got back, I started my new job. Better pay, awesome boss. I thanked Hans again for the heads up, and he kept me posted on how my old department imploded. Bob got the boot eventually, and they even offered me his job, but I passed, though it would have been poetic. About 5 years later, last year, Hans and I started our own company in a different city, doing similar work. It's going great so far. That's the end of the stories. Let me know what you think in the comments. Got any similar tales? Thanks for watching the whole video. Check out our previous one linked here, and good luck.